गोवर्धन धाम की जय,
जय
गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, भक्तिमती तुलसी महारानी की जय,
जय
समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय,
जय
नूर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare
हरे कृष्णा
all glories to these assembled devotees.
हरे
Hare
कृष्णा
all glories to the assembled devotees. Hare
हरे कृष्णा
all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya.
श्री सरस्वती देवी शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Narayan Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudiri Nashtaprayeshu Abhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
हरे
So,
कृष्णा
Hare Krishna. So again, today we are reading from Canto 3rd, Chapter 2, Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Text number 16. Mam khedayati etat ajasya janma vidambanam yad vasudeva gehe vraje cha vasori bhayad eva swayam purad vyavastisi yad ananta virya mam khedayati etat ajasya janma vidambanam yad vasudeva gehe व्रजे च वसोरी भयद इव स्वयं पुरद व्यावतसिद यद अनंत वीर्य माम खेदयति एतत् अजस्य जन्म विदंबनम यद वासुदेवा गेहे व्रजे च वसोरी भयद इव स्वयं पुरद व्यावतसिद यद अनंत वीर्य. Anyone would like to repeat?
मां खेदार्यत्य एतद् व्यासा जन्म विडम्बरं यद्वासुदेवगेहे व्रज च वासोरिभ्याद् इव स्वयं पुराद् व्यावात्सेद् यद् अनन्तवीर्याद्. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. मां खिदायाति यदादजस्य जन्म विडम्बनं यद् वसुदेवगे व्रजे च वासुदेवायाद् इव स्वयं पुराद् भयावसिद् यत् अनन्तवीर्या. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण. मामखेदयत्य एतद् अजस्य जन्म विडम्बनां यद् वसुदेवगेहे व्रजे च वासो हरिभयाद् इव स्वयं पुराद् भयावातिसेद् यद् अनन्तवीर्य. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Synonyms. Mam, to me. Khediyati, gives me distress. Etat, this. Ajasya, of the unborn. Janma, birth. Vidam vanam, bewildering. Yet, that. Vasudeva gehe, in the home of Vasudeva. Vraje, in. Vrindavan. Sha, also. Vasaha, in habitation. Ari, enemy, bhayat, because of fear, eva, as if, swayam, himself, purat, from Mathurapuri, Vyavotsit, fled, yat, one who is Anantavediha, unlimitedly powerful. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When I think of Lord Krishna, how he was born in the prison house of Vasudeva, although he is unborn, how he went away from his father's protection to Vraja and lived there incognito out of fear of the enemy, and how, although unlimitedly powerful, he fled from Mathura in fear. All these bewildering incidents give me distress. Purport. Because Lord Sri Krishna is the original person from whom everything and everyone has emanated, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. Bhagavad Gita 10.8. Janmadi Asya Yataha. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.2. Nothing can be equal to or greater than him. The Lord is supremely perfect. And whenever he enacts his transcendental pastimes as a son, a rival, or an object of enmity, he plays the part so perfectly that even pure devotees like Uddhava are bewildered. For example, Uddhava knew perfectly well that Lord Sri Krishna is eternally existent and can neither die nor disappear for good. Yet he lamented for Lord Krishna. All these events are perfect arrangements to give perfection to his supreme glories. It is for enjoyment's sake when a father plays with his little son and the father lies down on the floor as if defeated by the son. It is just to give the little son pleasure. Nothing more. Because the Lord is all-powerful, it is possible for him to adjust opposites such as birth and no birth, power and defeat, fear and fearlessness. Our pure devotee knows very well how it is possible for the Lord to adjust opposite things. But he laments for the non-devotees who, not knowing the supreme glories of the Lord, think of him as imaginary. Simply because there are so many apparently contradictory statements in the scriptures. Factually, there is nothing contradictory. Everything is possible when we understand the Lord as the Lord and not as one of us with all our imperfection. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak on the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam this morning. As I always mention, this time of us getting together and discuss about the glories of Lord, this time just is an investment in our life as a human being. Because when a living entity gets a birth in human species, then with that, he also gets the ability to rationalize and much more intelligence than other living entities who are in the lower species of life. And this human birth is a very perfect gateway to cross the cycle of birth and death, this vicious cycle of birth and death. And Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahapuran, is a symbol of Krishna's compassion, Krishna's mercy on his devotees, as well as for the age of Kali in general. Because when Krishna wrapped up his manifested pastimes, at that time, Lord appeared in the form of this book, Grantha Avatar of Sri Krishna, is Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapuran. Yesterday, I discussed that there are several reasons for Krishna to appear in material world. And these reasons have been given in chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, I come into this world by my own internal potency. I cover myself with my internal potency so that people who don't want to come to me or who don't want to know about me, they don't get to know me. There are various reasons, as I mentioned. Krishna comes to protect his devotees, to establish religious principles, to destroy miscreants, to claim his conditioned souls back. Janma karma cha me divyam. But the invisible reason is to have fun, which Srila Prabhupada has made visible in this purport. Krishna comes here to have enjoyment, to have fun. And these aspects of Krishna's appearance are very difficult to understand, even for those who are inclined towards this process of bhakti. So what to talk about those who are just speculating about God? There are living entities who come under, there are living entities who have taken this human form of life and want to pursue or want to see the invisible truth. And there are so many categories in that. Mukti, Bhukti, Kami, as I was mentioning yesterday. Materialistic people, they also want God in their life. Jnanis, they also want that God in their life. Karmis, they want God in their life. Karmis and materialistic are the same people we talk about. And yogis also want God in their life. But they don't know the real aspect of God. That Bhagwan, who is two-handed form, Krishna. They are just bewildered by the illusionary energy of the Lord. And as I mentioned yesterday also, that only from visible to invisible aspect, a devotee can reach. Because Krishna himself says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Only my devotees know me incomplete. But here we can see Uddhava, he is talking. And the context is that Vidura, who is traveling, met with Vidura, who is traveling, met with Uddhav on the banks of Yamuna. And he started asking about Krishna and the welfare of his relatives, Krishna's relatives. Uddhav went into ecstasy. And after almost a murta, which is 48 minutes, he started talking. And at that time also, he was feeling immense separation from Krishna. He started that how Yadu dynasty is so unfortunate that when Krishna, he was present on this planet, even our dynasty, people were not able to understand that he is that supreme personality of Godhead. They just took him as Paramatma or a super soul who is residing in everybody. That's what Uddhava was mentioning. And then he started discussing about the qualities of the Lord. And the main two qualities which we discussed yesterday, beauty and Lord's compassion. These are the two qualities which are very close to the heart of a devotee. Uddhava discussed in verse 12, 13, and 14 about the beauty of God. And then in 15, the verse which we took yesterday, he was talking about the compassionate nature of the Lord, that he is so compassionate that because of his compassion, he came in the house of Vasudev Maharaj. Because Devaki and Vasudev, they both were in so much distress. And Krishna came as their 8th child to protect them from Kamsa. So beauty and compassionate, Uddhava talked about in previous verses. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport, in verse 15, he talked about the compassionate nature of devotees also. So yesterday we took nature of God, Swabhava of Bhagwan, God, Swabhava or nature or characteristics of a devotee, and connection between the two is Bhakti, Bhagwan, Bhakt and Bhakti. And what are their characteristics? We discussed yesterday because it was the context of that purport. Now today, Uddhava, from the qualities, he just shifted into bewildering acts of Krishna. So you can see that Uddhava is still in the state of ecstasy because he is not remembering Krishna in the way the events happened in the life or in the pastimes of Krishna. But we can see in further verses that Uddhava will start talking to Vidur Maharaj about Vidur Maharaj starting from the birth of Krishna in later verses. I think starting from verse 25, 5th in this. So now Uddhava is talking about the bewildering acts of Krishna. And here there are only few bewildering acts of Krishna has been given. But if we can see the lifetime or the pastime of Krishna, from the very beginning, we can see the bewildering acts of Krishna. Bewildering acts, even the devotees, demigods cannot understand. The question may come, why Krishna did not become the first child of Devaki and Vasudeva? Why he wanted Vasudeva and Devaki to suffer for such a long time? for their 6 children were murdered by Kamsa brutally, why did not Krishna came as the first child? And Kamsa, he was so happy at the time of his sister's wedding, Devaki, that he was ready to become a chariot driver for Vasudeva and Devaki. I'm assuming that everybody on the call is aware about the story, events of the birth of Krishna. So that's why, assuming that, I'm just taking a little bit from all the stories. Why there was a divine voice from the sky, which turned Kamsa as a loving brother into a demon who was ready to kill Mother Devaki on the day of her wedding? Why this happened? So all these things are bewildering. In this, specifically in this purport, again, Uddhava is mentioning that I don't understand, or these activities of Krishna, that although he is unborn, ajanma, but still he is taking birth. It seems that he has taken birth from Mother Devaki. And also a very beautiful pastime has mentioned here. A very, very beautiful pastime has mentioned here. And what is that pastime? He says that although unlimitedly powerful, he fled from Mathura in fear. So, first of all, one bewildering act we discussed, that why Krishna did not appear as first child of Devaki and Vasudeva if he really wanted to save them from distress. And then there is a hidden story here. He fled from Mathura in fear. So here the story is that there was a war between Jarasandha and Krishna for 17 times. When Krishna was in Mathura, Krishna killed Kamsa. Kamsa's father-in-law was Jarasandha. And when Jarasandha got to know that Krishna killed Kamsa, Jarasandha wanted to take revenge. He attacked Mathura for 17 times. And Krishna defeated him for all those times. But at the 18th time, not only Jarasandha came, but there was one other king who also came, whose name was Kalayavana. They both wanted to fight with Krishna at the same time and wanted to attack Mathura city. But at the 18th time, when this happened, Krishna did not fight with Jarasandha, with either Jarasandha or Kalayavana. And what happened? Krishna just took Kalayavana in a cave where this king, Muchukunda. Now there are so many characters. I am going slow so that, we don't get confused. Muchukunda, he was a king in Satyuga. And he fought for demigods. And thus he got a special blessing, which he asked from them, that I want to sleep because I'm so tired. And he was benedicted by King Indra that, okay, you go in a cave and sleep. And if anyone disturb you, he is going to get burned by your eyesight. And so this king Muchukunda, he was sleeping in a cave. And the Kalayavana and Krishna and Jarasandha, so all three of them were in battlefield. But Krishna ran from there and Kalayavana chased him. Kalayavana was chasing him. Then Krishna brought that Kalayavana demon or king in that cave where Muchukunda was sleeping. And Kalayavana thought that this Muchukunda is Krishna. And he wanted to wake him up. And at that time, this Muchukunda was burnt by the eyesight of, Kalayavan, he burnt by the eyesight of Muchukunda. Now, after this event, Krishna and Balaram, rather than fighting with Jarasandha, they both fled. They both fled and climbed up onto a mountain. And then Jarasandha just, put fire onto that mountain. But Krishna and Balaram, they just jumped, and from there, they just fled and landed into Dwarka. Now, how this is possible? That they are climbing up a mountain, jumping from the top of the mountain and just landing in Dwarka. So many bewildering acts of Krishna, so many bewildering acts in his lifetime or in the pastimes of Krishna. Even in chapter 4th of Canto 3rd, 3.4.16, also talks about the contradictions in Krishna. And at that time, Uddhava, in that 3.4.16, he's talking to Krishna. He's saying there are so many contradictions in you. You are Supreme Person, but you look that as if you are so fearful from Kamsa, and not only that, so fearful from Mother Yashoda. You are a complete renunciate, but you married 16,108 princesses. And not only that, Narad Muni, he came to see how Krishna is dealing with 16,108 queens at the same time. There is a whole chapter in Canto 10 describing about the glories of Krishna, how wonderful Krishna is. All these pastimes, and any pastime, it's not only his birth, it's his appearance, it's not only his Vrindavan pastimes, it's not only his Mathura or Dwarka pastimes. You take any pastime of Krishna, and you can see that every pastime of Krishna is bewildering. There are so many pastimes which I can describe here. There is one pastime I'm just remembering. Once what happened? Gopis of Vrindavan, they were trying to cross Yamuna river. And they were not able to, because Yamuna river was not cooperating with them. And they complained to Krishna, Krishna, we want to just cross the river. What can we do? And Krishna says, you just tell Yamuna river that if Krishna is brahmachari, if he is a renunciate, if he is a celibate, then give us the way. And then gopis started laughing. They said, Krishna is renunciate, a celibate? And they said, Krishna, what are you talking? We perform pastimes with you. You are no celibate. You are no renunciate. What are you talking? And Krishna said, go and say this to Yamuna river. And they went there and they repeated what Krishna had just said to them. And to their surprise, Yamuna river gave them the way, as expected. And on the other side they met with Durvasa Muni. And again, this problem arose. They asked Durvasa Muni, now how we cross the river? Durvasa Muni said, And they went on the other side and they fed Durvasa Muni with sumptuous prasadam, with sumptuous food they had. And they were crossing the river again from the other side. Then they asked Durvasa Muni again that how we cross this Yamuna river. And Durvasa Muni said, go and tell Yamuna river that if Durvasa have never eaten anything in his life, then Yamuna river just gives you the way. And same happened. They did not question Durvasa Muni, but they were surprised. We just feed him so much of food, and now that's what he's saying. And same thing happened. They said, and Yamuna river gave them the way. And then they were so surprised. Then they asked Krishna on the other side. They asked Krishna, we don't get it. What is this? Seems like that Yamuna river is also a partner with you. What is happening? And then Krishna explained. And here comes the invisible reason which I was talking about. Krishna explained that although you see that I associate in the pastimes with you, but I never engage in those pastimes. That means Krishna is Purna Atmaram. That means Krishna is satisfied in himself. And Krishna said that everything is only my energy. We just celebrated Sri Radha Ashtami. Radharani is Krishna in feminine feature. Radharani is energy of Lord. And energy and energetic, they are not different, separate. They are one. Like sweetness in sugar, heat in fire, sun rays in sun, like that. So these things are not different. So Krishna said, when nothing is different from me, so how I'm enjoying the pastimes? I am complete Atmaram. And to my astonishment, after I read this story, I was thinking, if gopis of Krishna, they have their own backgrounds. One set of gopis are Vedic mantras. When they get bewildered by the acts of Krishna, so who is that living entity who is struggling in this material world and claim that I can understand Krishna by mental speculation, by our imperfection? So Krishna did not take birth as the first child of Devaki and Vasudeva. It also has reasons. Again, visible reason and invisible reasons. Invisible, or the principle which we can understand from the story, those 6 children represent 6 anarthas in a devotee. So when those 6 anarthas get killed, at that time, Guru comes in our life as Lord Balaram. And then 8th child is Lord Krishna. And even at that time, Yogamaya potency of Lord bewilders, influences. Lord Brahma, who came and who prayed at the time when Krishna was there in the body of Devaki. Prayers by demigods. Which chapter it is? 2nd chapter of 10 to 10th. Prayers by demigods. At that time, Brahma was praying to Krishna. But what was happening? What happened with Brahma? Brahma Vimohan Leela. And Uddhava is talking in context with Lord Krishna's pastimes. But even the pastimes of his plenary portions are bewildering. Lord Krishna is the source of everything. He can perform all the opposite activities at the same time. But even his plenary portions have this ability of performing inconceivable activities. What is the meaning of inconceivable? Achintya, which you cannot even think about. Achintya. Even his, for example, just reminding, I'm thinking of this incarnation of Krishna, Mohini Murti. Usually what happened? When we look at the form of Krishna, then we get benefited. But these demons in the form, when Mohini incarnation happened, Mohini Murti was bewildering demons with his beautiful form. How it is possible? Usually when you look at the form of Radha and Krishna, lust just vanish from your heart. But these demons at that pastime of Mohini Murti were looking at Mohini Murti and lust was increasing in their heart. How come? This was happening with them. Because Mohini Murti was a pastime of Asur Vimohan Leela, bewilderment for the demons. So, as I said, there are so many invisible reasons which is very difficult to understand when it comes to Krishna and also his plenary portions pastime. Very difficult to understand. When we read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 11 says that Arjuna saw Krishna's Vishwarupa, universal form of Lord. But if you go into the purports, it says that Arjuna even saw Karunadakshay Vishnu. That form, Kala Rupa, form of time of Krishna. So even the activities of Krishna, which we see, they are very, very difficult to understand, even by the devotees. And that's this saying always goes, no one can fully understand Krishna. That Krishna is very difficult to understand by gross material senses. But even with transcendental, when you are on transcendental position, it is hard to understand. But I am not on transcendental position. I am a practicing devotee and my senses are made up of gross material elements. So that's why seeing is believing a notion does not work here. So how to progress from visible to invisible principles? For functional perspective, our sense perception is required. But what happens sometimes with sense perception? It can become the cause of fatal events, like moth into fire. What does moth do? Moth get attracted by the fire, by its sense perception, and just entered into fire. So on functional level, we need senses to survive. But seeing is believing reduces our perception to only the visible things. And that's why we use our mental speculation. Oh, how it is possible that somebody who was 7 years of age, lifted such a big mountain. These all are stories, myth. How come a person marry 16,108 wives, and that too at the same time? I mean, 16,100 wives at the same time. What happened at that night? That Vasudeva was transporting Krishna from the prison cell to Gokul. What was happening? But if we can see in modern world, Newton also discovered the law of gravity by feeling the apple falling from the tree. I don't know how true this story is, but I am just making a point here. So falling apple is a visible phenomenon. But law of gravity, which he proved, is an invisible principle. So we are trying to understand that even in modern world, even in this material world, it is hard for us to understand everything through our senses. So what to talk about Krishna? Laws of physics, laws of thermodynamics, they all are invisible phenomena. Even we see that how science advances or moving from visible to invisible principles. We cannot see electromagnetic waves, but our phone works with that. So when we don't make sense of the things with our gross material senses, at that time, philosophy comes into picture. Now, what is philosophy? Philosophy means that science which makes sense of those things which don't make sense. That's the philosophy. Philosophical search begins through sense perception. But sometimes sense perception don't make sense. Then what happened? That science comes into picture, which gives us the knowledge which we cannot see or which we cannot understand. Moving from visible to invisible principles. And it's very important to have faith in the philosophy. If we don't have that faith in the philosophy, so no matter what we can do, we won't be able to reach that understanding. But we should not think that philosophy is the one which is going to take us closer to Krishna. Philosophy is one of the things which can convince us that all these things which are there in the activities of the Lord are true and opposite, because Krishna, he is the supreme person. He can do anything he wants. For example, in the war of Kurukshetra, there is a pastime when there was a fight between Jayadratha and Arjuna. At that time, Arjuna wanted to kill Jayadratha because Jayadratha irreligiously killed his son Abhimanyu. And Arjuna vowed that I am going to kill Jayadratha tomorrow before the sunset. Otherwise, I am going to just sacrifice my life. And at that time, all the Kauravas, they hide Jayadratha, thinking that now Arjuna is going to sacrifice his life himself, so there is no need for us to do anything. But what happened? Krishna, through his inconceivable potency, he covered the sun with clouds. Jayadratha came out And Krishna just showed that it's just not the time for sunset. But Arjuna never got bewildered by this act, because he knows that Krishna is the supreme person. He can do anything. And here also, Uddhava, he is a very exalted devotee of the Lord. And he's saying that all these things, all these bewildering acts, all these contradictions in Krishna just give me distress. How we understand this? So Uddhava's love for Krishna is immense. And when Krishna is absolute, so when you love Krishna in union or you love Krishna in separation, it's the same. And here, Uddhava, he knows that Krishna can never go away because everything belongs to Krishna. Uddhava, he was the disciple of Brahaspati. Uddhava was so intelligent that he used to give advices to Krishna. So he knows the philosophy very well, very well. So what is happening to Uddhava? All these things are happening to Uddhava because of his love in separation with Krishna. And this purport has been given to us in order to understand that Krishna performed all the bewildering tasks. And all the pastimes of Krishna has significance behind it. Why Krishna swallowed forest fire rather than just thinking that, it just calmed down, the fire just calmed down. Why it happened? Because of some reason. And that swallowing of a forest fire, the reason has been given to us by our teachers, by our acharyas. That this swallowing of forest fire depicts the kind of incorporation between the devotees. When devotees quarrel with each other, at that time, Krishna wants to swallow that fire because Krishna wants to protect his devotees. I heard this in one of the classes. So that's the thing. Whatever Krishna is doing, whatever pastimes he is performing, everything has significance. We may not know about it, but there is. So philosophy, when we accept it with devotion, with love, at that time we go closer to Krishna. Otherwise, Krishna says, I'm covered with my internal potency, with the curtain. Naham prakasham sarvasya. I won't be able to, nobody will be able to see me because I am covered with the curtain of Yogmaya. Even Mother Kunti, in her prayers in chapter 8, she mentions that your activities are so bewildering, Krishna. It seems like an actor playing a role on the stage. See, again and again, even the closest devotees or closest associates of Krishna are saying the same thing, that Krishna's acts are bewildering. No one can understand. But still, we want to understand Krishna. And we think that we understood Krishna with our 4 defects, with our imperfection. So rather than understanding Krishna, if we serve Krishna with love and devotion, accepting what has been given to us by our teachers. At that time, when this happens, then Krishna will reveal himself to his devotees. When a devotee reach onto that stage of bhava, Krishna start revealing himself to his devotees. Sometimes there are certain things happen in our life and we don't get the answer. Why this is happening with me? A very common question is why bad things happen to good people. And I think nowadays a common question is why good things are happening to bad people. So all these answer the principal karma can give to us, which is a very deep concept. And now it's up to us how we can reach from karma to Krishna. The journey is not easy, but at the same time, it is easy if we just surrender. Faith is the key to Krishna's wonderland, Goloka Vrindavan. Faith is the key. Surrender is the key. And word surrender or Sharanagati has its own meaning. It's not that I am just surrendering myself. I am just accepting the defeat. No. It's my victory over my false ego, victory over my illusion, victory over my anartha nirvitri, victory over my anarthas, my problems. Because a Krishna Bhakta, a devotee of Lord, always accept whatever Krishna is doing or whatever Krishna has done. A very, very famous story of cobbler and a priest. A priest was performing so many nice sacrifices, following the Vedic rituals, understanding the philosophy, but did not have faith that Krishna can do bewildering acts. When Narad Muni came on this earthly planet, he saw this priest and Narad Muni was praising priest for his sacrificial, for all these sacrificial austerities, whatever he's doing. Priest wanted to ask when he is going to go back to Krishna. Then down the street, Narad Muni met with this cobbler. Narad Muni asked, "What are you doing here?" And cobbler said, "My job is to make shoes." But he was a devotee of Lord. He also asked, "When I'm going to go back to Krishna, please ask him whenever you see him next." Narad Muni went to Krishna, Vaikuntha planets, or maybe Narayana in this case. And the Lord said, "That priest, I don't know when he is coming back, but the cobbler will come back to me after this lifetime." He was astonished, bewildered, as always. Devotees of Lord also get bewildered. And Krishna says, "Go and just tell them that I was threading an elephant through the hole of a needle, small needle." And Narad Muni said this to priest. And priest said, "I don't think so. You have." And Narad Muni also conveyed this message that Lord, he's not sure when you're coming back. Then priest really got so upset. He said, "Definitely you have not seen Narayan in Vaikuntha planet. Because how could it be possible that somebody is, threading an elephant through the tip of the needle, through the hole of the needle? How it is possible? You are just faking." And he walked away in anger. And the same thing Narad Muni told to cobbler, that you will come back after this lifetime. But what Lord was doing? Lord was doing the same thing. and he started dancing. He said, "Didn't you hear what I said? Do you really believe on that?" And the cobbler said, "Look at this banyan tree. With only one seed, this huge tree can come up. So what to talk about? That Lord can do anything. When a small seed can give birth to such a big tree, then why can't it is difficult for me to believe that Lord was threading an elephant through the hole of a needle." So with this, I'm going to stop here. If there are any questions, comments, additions, corrections, please go ahead and please bless me that I may continue in this path of devotional service. Hare Krishna. No questions, no comments. So we can just
Thank you so much, Mataji. Very nice class. And
thank you.
lastly, whatever you said, like whatever Krishna wants, that will be happen. Like if he wants to behold that, then will be beholder. If he wants us to understand him, then he can also do that.
That's true, Mataji.
Yeah.
Ye yathamam prapadyante, also the principle applies there. If we want to understand Krishna, the way we deal with him, he also deals. He's a kalpataru. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your addition. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Very good.
My only comment is you gave wonderful class. Class was very good, and all the stories you're telling were very. So, though some of them we know, but we can recollect that and then just keep Krishna's stories is never ending, and his acts are never ending, and it is no surprise, but it will be surprise. So that is only my comment. Thank you very much, Madhavi.
Thank you, Mataji.
Keep it up.
All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. We can, Hare Krishna. No more comments or additions?
Good.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpataru.
Tarupyascha kripasindobhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.